time. You know I wanna be your rock, my love. You know I wanna be your light. In darkness, how you find me just in time to tell me what I needed to hear. So if you don't know what you need, you can leave it all to me. Don't want you worried about a thing. I know you do the same for me. 'Cause you're so lovely, you're so lovely. I can't help but fall for you, love. When you love me, it's so lovely loving you. Oh, oh, so lovely loving you. Oh, oh. So softly a tender breeze brush against my knees on a summer afternoon. I get to thinking about the hazy days under August shade that I used to spend with you. I didn't realize it was all I wanted. What I had, my riddled heart, I had to cradle back together just to see. It's all like magic to me. You do magic, baby, when you love me. You're so lovely. I can't help but fall for you, love. When you love me, it's so lovely loving you. Oh, oh, so lovely loving you. Oh, oh. So slowly a sunlit dream pulls me out of sleep. Feel the morning through the blinds. I turn my head to meet your sun-kissed face. In this quiet place, I can give you all my time.
I was told the purpose of a girl is to be pretty and perfect. Do all that you can do. Hold on to your youth, don't let it fade. That is what it takes if you want a man, but I refuse to think that's it. Tell me what's the meaning if I'm not enough for him as me. 'Cause I believe in my possibilities. My worth won't be defined by the man I'm with. There's so much more to me. Can't you see? I'm a masterpiece. I'm bold and free and daring. I'm a masterpiece. Can't be contained. I'm yelling. Listen, listen. That is where it begins. Found the missing piece people talk about when I catch my reflection. The one that I meant to embrace and stay true through all the years. Don't you get it wrong, I still do believe in that connection with someone. But first I'll commit to myself in this sovereign love affair. 'Cause I believe in my possibilities. My worth won't be defined by the man I'm with. There's so much more to me. Can't you see?
Hi, everybody. Hello, welcome, welcome. We're so excited to be here with you today. Really quickly, we'll introduce ourselves. My name is Yujing, pronouns she, her, hers. I'm a junior at MIT studying 11-6, and I'm involved with the Asian American Initiative, CSC, Chinese Students Club, and the UA. So I'll pass it to Deekshita.
Hi guys, I'm Deekshita. I'm a junior here at MIT also, majoring in 614, and I'm heavily involved with the South Asian Association of Students, which is SAS. And I'm really excited to be here tonight with you, Jing.
Yeah, and really quickly, just to intro Project AAPIdentity. Do you like the pun? I like it. But yeah, this is a project that was born out of a collaboration with the OMP, Office of Multicultural Programming, MIT CSC, Chinese Students Club, and the UA, the Undergraduate Association, which is our student government. And it started in response, kind of in light to the surge of anti-Asian hate crimes that have been happening today and in this past year, especially due to the rhetoric around the coronavirus and the pandemic. And yeah, today we are here May 7th in the month of May for Asian Pacific Islander American Heritage Month. And it was really born out of an effort to celebrate and share our culture. So really excited we have a lot in store today. Happy Asian Pacific Islander American Heritage Month. Woo! And yeah, we'll just do some fun facts about like APA Heritage Month. Dikshita, do you want to start with the facts?
Yeah, I got some facts for you, Jing. Did you guys know that the state with the largest Asian population is California, 17%, and the lowest is Wyoming with 2%?
Wow.
Bet y'all didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
And I have another fun fact. If you guys know who Mindy Kaling is, if you've seen The Office, or you've seen The Mindy Project, which I'm a big fan of, or a lot of other shows like Never Have I Ever, and she directed that show. She was born right here in Cambridge, which is also really cool. So
I definitely did not know that. And that was my show. The Mindy Project was my show growing up. Yeah, and kind of some more historical facts. Why May? Why the month of May? So APA Heritage Month actually first came to be in 1978 when President Jimmy Carter signed it into law, designating the month of May for the celebration of Asian and Pacific Islanders' culture and heritage. And actually, it was chosen because the first Japanese immigrant actually arrived in the United States in the month of May in 1843. And actually on May 10th, 1869, the Transcontinental Railroad was completed. And that was largely done by Chinese immigrants at a point composing of 90% of the workers on the railroad being Chinese. So Chinese immigrants, Japanese immigrants, Indian immigrants, Asian people in general have made such a huge impact here and have really shaped America. And it is the way it is because of the contributions of the Asian community. So we're really excited to celebrate our culture today.
Yep. And to kick off, we will have our first performance by Lion Dance. During a normal school year, you can find them performing all over campus during night market, dance troupe showcases, and a number of other events and places, lighting up the campus with their colorful traditional lion costumes. To tell you a little bit more about Lion Dance, we'll pass it over to Kevin Lee.
Hi, thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Kevin, and I'm the president of MIT Lion Dance. So we've been an official MIT club for almost 25 years now. And just for a little more background, Lion Dance started in North China and has spread to Japan, Vietnam, Korea, Tibet, and continues to grow in many other countries. According to legend, these lions are supposed to bring good luck to people. But the funny thing is that when I'm in the lion and I'm dancing, I'm the one who feels so lucky to have the opportunity to perform for others. So without further ado, I present to you this year's Lion Dance performance.
That was incredible. Thank you, Kevin and MIT Lion Dance. I always have so much fun every time I've watched Lion Dance perform. I've seen them in so many different venues and locations. It seems like you guys are everywhere, which is very exciting. And now you're on the lawn. So yeah, and I also love the little is it Avatar? Yes.
Yeah, it was Avatar themed.
Yes.
I felt like during the pandemic, everyone watched it on Netflix, so it was a timely theme.
Yeah, clearly and sadly not me, but I wish I got it. Yeah. Thanks so much. Yeah. And now I have the pleasure of welcoming our first honorable mention. So you all were voting on Instagram Project AAPIdentity. We had some incredible submissions, and I have the wonderful pleasure of welcoming our first honorable mention, a piece that struck everybody's heart. This piece took us home to conversations with our very own grandparents. And for many of us raised in America as first generation or second generation Americans, it reminded us of all the beauties and complexities of holding on to our roots. And so it dives really deep into the meaning of language and how this looks like. And you'll get to see this also in a couple of seconds, but really think about how language impacts your everyday life and the role of language in growing up. So yeah, we'll share. This piece is by Isha Banerjee, who is a 2024 from Alabama. But yeah, enjoy the piece.
মধুর কথা শুনিয়ে যারে সোনার পাখি ময়না দহন জ্বালায় জ্বলে দহন মানে জানিস
না
পোড়া আর কি বার্ন দহন জ্বালায় জ্বলে জ্বলে হৃদয় আমার হলো ছাই পিরিতের হাই কিরিতে আমি শুধু ভাবি তাই পিরিতি মানে জানিস লাভ
লাভ
ভালোবাসা
আমি ভাবলাম তুমি বলছো লাভ মানে প্রফিট
না লাভ মানে ভালোবাসা প্রীতির হাই কি রীতি রীতি মানে জানিস
না
রীতি মানে প্রীতির হাই কি রীতি রীতি মানে ওটা কি কাজ প্রীতির কি কাজ বা ওটার কি চলন প্রীতির হাই কি রীতি আমি শুধু ভাবি তাই মানে প্রেমের
কি কাজ
হ্যাঁ প্রেমের কি রীতি কি চালন চলন সেটাই
So Isha isn't here with us today, unfortunately, but personally speaking, reading her piece and hearing this audio clip really resonated with me. I am also second gen and I have grandparents in India, and oftentimes I find it very difficult to communicate with them given the language barrier and the discrepancies in the way that I was raised versus the way that they were brought up. But I think Isha's piece made me reflect on the beauty of that challenge in communicating with them. So I'm really grateful for her and for this piece, and I hope that everyone else really enjoyed it. And I thought it was especially beautiful.
Yeah, it honestly reminded me a lot about my conversations with my dad, and actually was part of my college admissions essay. So the role of language in growing up. But yeah, now to our next part of the program. In light of the surge of anti-Asian hate crimes this past year, you all know, you've all seen the stories, and the awakening of many Americans actually to the deeply troubling history of the Asian American experience. Many people have come forth wanting to get involved, wanting to help, not knowing exactly what to do. And actually the show itself is actually a product of that, a way for us to be able to do something and support our Asian communities. So truly, thank you so much for being here tonight and sharing space with us. Tonight's show is free to watch, but if you have the means, we are fundraising for two incredible organizations, the Asian American Resource Workshop, or AARW, and the Jakara Movement. These organizations have been doing the groundwork with local communities and have been doing it for years. And so, yeah,
Yeah, and tickets to a show like this are usually upwards of $10. So we have suggested donation of $10 or more, and would really greatly appreciate any donation that you may be able to give.
And if you don't have the means, there are also a number of ways to get involved, from writing letters to legislators, to put in place policies to integrate Asian American history into education, for example, or volunteering your time with local community organizations. Any support is appreciated.
And speaking of community organizations, the AARW is a political home for Pan-Asian communities in Greater Boston. They are a member-led organization committed to building grassroots power through political education, creative expression, and issue-based and neighborhood organizing.
Today, we have a representative, Yanisa Chagumta, here with us to talk a little more about the work AARW does. Yanisa is a board member for the Asian American Resource Workshop, and in this organization, she's really fighting displacement in all forms. She's also a class of 2018 MIT alum in course 3 and 11. Go 11! I'm also course 11. So really excited to welcome her and her work today. So welcome, Yanisa.
Yeah, thank you. And glad that you're course 11. I feel like the major's really grown since I was there, which was not that long ago. So yeah, hi everyone. My name's Yanisa, and I'm a board member for the Asian American Resource Workshop, which is AARW. And yeah, thank you so much for all of your support and for inviting me to be here. Yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit more about AARW and what types of work we do and how you can get involved. So we're an organization based in Dorchester, in Boston, and our mission statement that was said before is that we are a political home for Pan-Asian communities in Greater Boston, and we're a member-led organization where we're committed to building grassroots power through political education, creative expression, and issue-based and neighborhood organizing. And AARW really organizes around a broad set of issues that Asian American communities face. And a lot of that is centered around displacement in many forms. So the first form of displacement that we work to fight against and to build better from is housing. And we want to make sure that people can stay in their homes in the face of rising rents and gentrification, and that there is affordable housing in the Greater Boston area for Asian American communities and other communities of color to live. We also fight against deportation, which is an issue that really affects a lot of our Southeast Asian community members, particularly Vietnamese and Laotian and Cambodian community members. And we work on the ground to ensure that people who are undocumented are able to stay in the US and are able to navigate the legal process in a just way. And then our third branch focuses on criminalization and surveillance, which is an issue that affects a lot of our South Asian and Muslim siblings. And we're working to abolish policing and the prison industrial complex so that our people can survive and thrive. And we're also, our kind of fourth thing that we're signing up is doing more climate and environment related work, because that is also another form of displacement that is upcoming in the near future. Yeah, so we, out of these forms of fighting against displacement, we really see ourselves as a political home for young adults in the Greater Boston area to grow their organizing skills and political analyses and to get some practice working on issue campaigns. And yeah, so I joined AARW at the near the end of my time at MIT when I knew I was going to be staying in Boston after I graduated. And I really wanted to ground myself more in the organizing that's happening in Boston and the Asian American community as a whole. And I found that and a lot more in AARW. And I've grown and learned so much about Asian American as a political identity and how I can be working towards issues that matter to me and my community. And it's really a great group of people working towards an Asian America where we can all thrive. So the last thing I'll leave you with, which I think we can drop this link in the stream, but we have an open house next Wednesday if you want to learn more about AARW. We know that there's a lot of systemic failures in our countries that have shown up again and reminded us that we all need to take action to keep our communities safe. So we wanted to offer this open house and to offer a space for our Asian American community to find restorative action in these urgent times. And so the open house is on May 12th from 7 to 8:30. You can find that on our social media or on the link that will be dropped. And yeah, come to learn more about the work we do, how to plug into our campaigns. Everyone's welcome, even if you don't plan to stay in Boston for that long, there's a home for you in ARW. And we really encourage new folks to come and join and learn more. So yeah, thank you so much for your support, and I'll turn it back to the MCs.
Thank you so much, Yanisa.
Yeah, thank you. It was so awesome for you to share that, and we really appreciate your time. And very quickly, I want to touch on another fundraiser that's organized by MIT SAS, which is the South Asian Association of Students, and MITSA, which is the South Asian Alumni Association. And it's in regards to the current COVID crisis in India. As you may know, the surge of infections has crippled the already struggling medical system, causes tremendous amounts of pain to several families in India and the United States, and has devastated many. As a result, SAS and MITSA have the goal of raising money for 3 organizations, and each of the organizations has a different initiative. The first one that we're focusing on is Akshaya Patra, which is an organization that's focused on fighting food inequity in India by providing meals to children and those who can't afford it. AIF, which is an organization focused on vaccinating the Indian population and providing critical medical equipment to hospitals that may need it. And finally, Project Prana, which is actually a really neat organization that's affiliated with MIT and hopes to create low-cost ventilators to send to India as well. So 3 different goals. They're all awesome organizations. And honestly, people can donate to whatever organization they see is important to them, or all of them. So they're all looking for really a lot of support from everyone. So if you can, please spread the word, donate. Any amount is really important to us. And yeah, so the link to this is, I'm not sure if the best way to share that is through the chat, but it would just be linktree/MIT SAS. So it's a very quick link. But yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, and the other organization that this show is specifically fundraising for is the Jakara movement. Sorry about that. And yeah, the Jakara movement, through grassroots community building efforts, the Jakara movement aims to empower, educate, and organize Punjabi, Sikhs, and other marginalized communities to advance their health, education, and economic, social, and political power. So definitely consider donating to support the Jakara movement as they work to develop powerful, informed, and organized youth leadership, locally rooted residential power, and community capacity. So super exciting stuff. Again, all great organizations. You can go to that link, tinyurl.com/AAPI-donations to donate to the Jakara movement or ARW, and we have a goal of $5,000. So it's a hefty goal, but I know we can do it. I know you can do it. I know you're sitting on your phone right now, typing in the URL. I know you're doing that.
Put it in those WhatsApp groups.
Yeah, put them in the WhatsApp groups, Messenger, Slack, my favorite form of social media. And yeah, and please visit their websites as well. So tinyurl.com/AAPI-donations. And if you want to donate to COVID relief as well, like Dikshita already said, MIT SAS. Do you know what the link is, Dikshita, or search it?
Yeah, and I can drop that in the chat. I'm not sure if that's the easiest way to share it, but I can do that.
Yeah. And also there was an email that was recently sent out by me as well as by President Rife. So if you can't find the link right now for the SAS fundraiser, definitely check out the emails that have the fundraisers linked. So we really appreciate your support and super excited to be here today with you. Thank you so much. And now, actually going backwards.
Looks like Isha's here.
Yeah, going backwards a bit, we're gonna talk to Isha, who was the creator of the last piece that we saw. So welcome, Isha.
Hi.
Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, hi, I'm Isha. I'm a first year from Birmingham, Alabama. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes.
Cool.
So I don't know, Dikshita, do you want to ask the first?
Yeah, sure. So, after like looking at your piece, I think my first question, and this is just kind of a fun one, but How is your grandma doing now that you're at MIT and you're away from her? And I think you mentioned that she's lived with you since you were 4 years old, right?
Well, actually, like she lived with me during the quarantine, but like we weren't super close before that. But like
Oh,
during quarantine, we spent like every day like together all the time. So now like we like FaceTime once a day. So yeah.
oh, that's so nice.
Oh, how was that? Like getting to know your grandmother like over quarantine, especially with the language barriers as you showcased through your piece and everything, with like gaps in language or vocabulary development and everything.
It was definitely kind of like a slow process. Like at first, it was just a lot of like me just asking like really awkward questions all the time. But like, I don't know. I think it was really rewarding. Like, it was one of the I think best parts of quarantine was just getting to know her better.
And do you think that like if quarantine had not like happened, this you probably would have not have gotten as close to your grandmother as you are now?
Yeah, probably not.
That's really interesting. That's like a silver lining, I guess, of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And something I was also curious about was how has like your relationship with language changed for you as you've grown up? So not just like with your grandmother, but what role do you see it playing as you continue to grow and perhaps even start your own family? Or is that even something you've ever thought about? Or yeah.
Yeah, that definitely is. Like I'm really scared of like losing it. So I think as I've gotten older, like it's become like a much more like I take more of like an effort to try and like practice and like um like expand my vocabulary and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's still something I worry about for sure.
Yeah. I relate to that a lot.
So I touched on this a little bit earlier when you were gone. But as someone who's also second gen and who has grandparents in India, I noticed that with me at least, like it's really hard to communicate with them because of the language barrier and also just the way that I was brought up in the United States. And sometimes I wish that like the communicating with them was easier. But I think this piece also made me think about like how there's beauty in like that discrepancy between communication. But do you sometimes wish that communicating with your grandmother was easier, or are you like day by day appreciating like this difference and learning from it? I guess like what are you deriving from it on the daily?
Yeah, for sure. I do wish it was easier. Like sometimes I feel like I'm kind of limited in terms of like the things that I talk to her about. But like I think I kind of mentioned this, but like I think like she kind of has an understanding of that, which makes it a lot like easier. Like I feel like it's just something that we both kind of work at.
That's amazing. I love that.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Isha, and thank you for sharing your art with us and your FaceTime with your grandmother.
Thank you.
Tell her we said hi.
Yeah. Yeah. And then next, we wanted to warmly introduce a performance by MIT Syncopation. So specializing in East Asian music and pop culture, you can often catch this group killing it, not just in English, but in a variety of other East Asian languages as well. English is not an East Asian language, but they're known at MIT for their killer a cappella shows, and I personally really enjoy their creative show names as well. So if you guys have been around at MIT, you know MIT Crazy Rich Syncopations, MIT Sing Confessions, and the more professional
Good stuff.
Sing Co, like corporation. So now
They can do it all.
Yeah, they have fun puns too. So without further ado, we'll pass it to them.
Good evening, everyone. We're Syncopation, MIT's East Asian Interest a cappella group. Tonight, we will be virtually performing Things We Carry on the Sea, a performance that celebrates all that the AAPI and Asian community has brought to the United States by combining poem recitation and a cappella vocals. In this arrangement, we featured a poem titled Things We Carry on the Sea by Wang Ping, and we invited 18 members of the MIT AAPI and Asian community to help bring this project to life. We would also love to invite you to our spring concert, Silver Linings, next Friday at 8 p.m. ET. You can RSVP to our event at this QR code or at this link sent in the chat. We hope you enjoy our performance. Good evening.
We carry tears in our eyes. Goodbye, Father. Goodbye, Mother. soil in small bags. May home never fade in our hearts. We carry names, stories, memories. We carry scars from proxy wars of greed. We carry carnage of mining, droughts, floods, genocides. We carry dust of our families and neighbors incinerated in mushroom clouds. We carry railroads, plantations, laundromats, nursing homes, hospitals, schools, temples built on our ancestors' backs. We carry old homes along the spine, new dreams in our chests. We carry yesterday, today, tomorrow. We're orphans of the wars forced upon us. And we carry our mother tongues.
ভালোবাসা
我爱
Aloha
প্রেম 사랑
见面感
Love,
تسلك 平安上帝
ความสงบ
kebayaan
hòa bình
peace,
hy vọng
Asha.
kỳ vọng
harapan
тишнетер
hope, hope, hope. As we drift in our rubber boats from shore to shore to shore.
That was so beautiful, like so incredibly powerful just to see like that being said in so many different languages. You can really see the reflection of diversity in the Asian community.
And can we talk about their harmony? It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
I loved it. Thank you so much, Syncopation, for that beautiful piece and your amazing work on campus. We really appreciate you guys. And up next, we have the pleasure of introducing our second honorable mention, Katso. She made a collage which highlighted her experiences with racism and microaggressions she faced as an Asian American in the United States. And she brought it to light through the many forms of discrimination that occur in this country, even in a place like MIT. Please welcome class of 2022, Katso.
Hi, everyone. Sorry if you can hear my parents in the background, but yeah, my name's Kat. I'm a junior, and thank you so much for having me and for this great event.
Yay. Yeah, so our first question, Kat, is why did you decide to make this piece? It's something that's deeply personal, yet something that so many Asian community members have similarly experienced, me included. And in making this piece, you have touched and spoken to so many others. So what really prompted you to create this piece the way you did?
Yeah, so full honesty, this was for a class first and foremost. So I'm actually cross-registered for a Harvard Asian American Vietnam War Studies class right now. So shout out to Dr. Catherine Nguyen if she's watching for some reason. But so for that class, for our final project, we were basically allowed to like make anything that we wanted that sort of reflected on like the Asian American experience. And so I decided to make like a virtual museum exhibit pretty much, focusing on like microaggressions and like further like internalized like shame and racism that comes from those microaggressions. But also sort of like how like you work through those emotions to like reclaim like your pride and like your heritage and culture. And so I actually went to like a workshop run by like the Asian American Feminist Collective, and they like helped us like make a collage like with like everyone in the Zoom, and I just thought that was really cool. And I take so many like random useless pictures when I was a kid, so I was like, I should probably put these to use in some way. So yeah, I just wanted to sort of use this experience to like articulate like my own experience like growing up as like an Asian American in like a very suburban New Jersey town. And yeah, it just really like sort of opened my eyes up to like how many like microaggressions and like invalidating experiences like Asian Americans sort of face like every day, but like how also like how often like we like downplay it or like don't really talk about it as a community.
I really loved like all of the components that you had in your piece. It was like I feel like there was just so many elements to look at, and it was really interesting how it shaped into like one sentiment. And it was kind of like a bunch of things that happened throughout your life, even in a place like MIT. And I think my next question is like, how have the microaggressions that you faced at MIT, and I think in particular you touched on a negative response that you received from your peers when you went to like the OME, affect and shape the rest of your time here?
Yeah, definitely. So I think like when I first came to MIT, I was like, wow, like there are like so many like Asian Americans like on campus. Like there's like no way there's like any discrimination or like racism here because like there are just so many of us. And then I think, but also because of that, I think like especially at MIT, like we're sometimes like not really considered a minority anymore. So like I think like in my second week of like school as like a freshman, I like mentioned I was going to the OME for something, and like my friend was like, oh, but like you're not even a minority, so like why are you going? And I was like, oh, I guess I'm not. And so like ever since then, like I've like honestly like still feel like a little bit guilty whenever I go to like OME events. But yeah, and also like recently like an advisor, like I'm a history major as like one part, and like my parents aren't super thrilled about that for probably obvious reasons. But I was like talking to an advisor, and they were like, oh well, yeah, but like you just have to choose between like your American and like your Asian side, and like sort of like do what you want instead of like focusing on your family. And I was like, okay. Good talk. Good talk.
Well, it's not that easy. So, well, thank you so much for sharing, Kat. We really loved your piece, and we really appreciate your time here today.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Have a nice night.
You too.
Yeah. And up next, we just have a slideshow of the other submissions. So it's going to be a fun time. You'll see all the incredible art pieces and works that were sent to us. Yeah. So this first piece is by Gloria Lynn. It's called Tradition. And this is a quote from Gloria. For me, one aspect of being Asian American has been the balancing act of growing up distinctly American, but being raised to observe tradition. Sometimes the values of these identities are at odds, such as reconciling filial piety with American autonomy. Sometimes I feel trapped between two cultures, which I try to show in the art. Being viewed as foreign in my hometown with very few Asians, yet inadequately Chinese, when I have to explain to my Chinese professor why I never got to attend Chinese school.
Up next, we have a piece by Melody Wu, and it's called A Wish. In Melody's words, she said, growing up, I began to challenge these lines that I felt were drawn between artist and scientist. One or the other, it's how I came to enjoy surreal art, which challenged expectation and thinking and challenged these labels I sometimes couldn't figure out. Of artist and scientist and engineer, of Asian and American and Chinese, of being younger and the older sister and a female, and of all the identities that I often feel constrained to or not enough of either or.
This next piece is by Audrey. It's entitled Strong. And in her words, she says, food is my strongest tie to my Asian American heritage. At home, my mom's shrimp and bok choy noodles topped with a poached egg would fill my stomach and also my soul. At first glance, It seems like my laser-cut version of a Chinese hanging charm features just the 3 ingredients of shrimp, bok choy, and egg. But there's a 4th ingredient embedded in all 3 pieces: love in the shape of a heart. The painting pays homage to my love of shrimp chips. I turn to shrimp chips to relish the nostalgia of my early childhood and to remind myself that there's still so much flavor in our lives to savor.
Our next piece is by Margaret Zhang, and it's From Sea to Sea. This is a drawing, in her words, this is a drawing depicting myself departing from my seaside hometown to explore in the world by books and sails, bringing on the cultures and values where I was raised in, represented by a larger figure in the background emerging from the sky. As I become a student overseas in multiple US cities by the harbors, I push myself to see and learn about many communities and cultures every day. Seeing the diversity of the world has also deepened my love for my hometown and inspired me to be a messenger of cultures from my root to where I am now and back.
This next piece is by Kanoi Ivel, and her piece is, in her words, this drawing is a representation of my heritage with elements of the country's flags. The Philippines are represented by sun and red and blue stripes. Samoa is represented by blue stars and tribal, and American Samoa is represented by the eagle and tribal print. I take great pride in my family background and where I come from, and always keep this love on display.
The final piece is by Amber Zhang, and it's called A 9-Year-Old's Idea of Asian Pride. In her words, growing up in a suburban area in Georgia, the only Asians I knew were me and my family. At elementary school age, I did everything I could to fit in with my non-Asian peers, but it didn't work. I remember asking my parents to tell me stories about growing up in China. The more I heard, the more I realized that being Chinese is not something that I should be ashamed of. This country and culture that my parents held so dear to their heart should not be hidden away. I started to do everything a 9-year-old could do to display their pride in their culture, which included painting the Great Wall of China. So all these pieces were wonderful and amazing. And up next, Yijing will show some initiatives that we're going to highlight here.
Yeah, so obviously, like I've said before, but if you're just joining us now, donate to the Asian American Resource Workshop, AARW, a local Boston community organization for the Asian American community and the Jakarta movement, and India COVID relief. So all that's in tinyurl.com/AAPI-donations. We made a tiny URL, so it's easy to type in. So
no excuses.
Get clacking. Yeah, and we have a t-shirt and sticker sale as well, where any profits will be going to these organizations or fundraisers. And that's at tinyurl.com/AAPI-sale. Look at how cute those stickers are. Tell me you don't want one.
So cute.
Yeah.
Pop it on the Hydro Flask, the laptop, everything.
Yeah, exactly. And the shirt, like, come on. Show some pride, rock some great gear during APA Heritage Month. Woohoo.
Woo. And up next, we have the MIT OMS. Ye Jo Dos Hetera is about one's bond to their motherland. But more fundamentally, it is a song about home. Home is not a place. It is a people, a feeling of belonging, and a coming together of different individuals with a single unbreakable bond. The MIT OMS is proud to present Ye Jo Dos Hetera, a piece arranged to reflect that feeling of belonging and show the beautiful things that we can create when we come together. The arrangement was done by Dikshu Kumar, the editing was done by Rupiah Niyuji, and creative direction was by Anubama Bhatta. So yeah, let's give it to the MIT OMS.
तू ना पूछ रास्ते में काहे आए हैं इस तरह दोराहे तू ही तो है यार जो जाए तू ही तो है जो ये बताए जाए तो किस दिशा में जाए वही दे ये जगत है तेरा स्वादेश है तेरा तुझे है पुकारा ये वो बंधन है जो कभी टूट नहीं सकता
That was so powerful and breathtakingly beautiful. I literally love a cappella.
I love
Like,
acapella so much.
I
And
could watch it forever.
so good.
Yeah. Next, we actually have a speaker from the Jakara movement. We have Deep Singh here today with us. And Deep is the executive director of the Jakara movement, as well as a founder of numerous community initiatives, including a popular Sikh progressive blog, The Langar Hall. So without further ado, welcome, Deep. Hello, we're so happy to have you here with us today.
Great to be on. Appreciate you all creating this space to let me share and share a little bit about the Jakara movement. So I guess I'll just provide a quick just sort of overview and what our key work has been around. So the Jakara movement was founded actually back in 2000. It started off as just a creative and a kind of energy space really to bring South Asian youth, specifically those of Punjabi Sikh heritage together really from throughout the country. And what we've grown in the last year since then is kind of one of the primary places really to kind of bring a energy, a creativity around sort of social justice issues. In many ways, we are kind of somewhat akin, and we work oftentimes with Drum in Queens, which is also a fantastic other South Asian organization. We work primarily in working class, low income households. And amongst families, we have over 70 high school chapters throughout the state of California and 15 chapters on collegiate campuses, largely on the UCs and CSUs in terms of the public schools here in California. We have a number of projects that we've been really excited about. We have a labor initiative where we're really doing a lot of workers' rights programming, especially with low-income workers. Oftentimes, many of our own aunties, sometimes our own mothers, many people in our own family that especially work in the meat and poultry industry that has just been especially affected by COVID. We are working with the city of Fresno as well as the state of California in terms of like the kind of housing eviction mitigation work in terms of, I mean, so many families are really behind on rent because just the way COVID has affected their economics. So we're helping the state of California and the city of Fresno as well, just kind of distribute that money. We're very much involved in sort of trying to build out like a progressive vision for California and beyond, especially in the Central Valley, which is very different than, for instance, the Bay and LA. So extremely involved in redistricting. We work a lot with undocumented folks, especially providing direct relief. And as well as we're really kind of on the forefront in terms of a lot of our COVID equity work. Oftentimes we have a global focus. So, things that the farmers' protests in India have very much been on our side in ways that we can really kind of think through and then be inspired by sort of earlier movements around third world solidarity that you saw in the 60s, and 70s. We're kind of working with other organizations. I mean, COVID has been devastating in parts of South Asia right now, especially in India, especially in the capital city of Delhi. So, it's really kind of building that focus with a local lens, but ultimately with a global focus. And really appreciative of the MIT community, creating forums for us to share, learn more about each other, and just bring our full selves together.
Thank you so much, Steve, not just for coming here tonight, but like all of the work that you do with the Jakara movement and your blog and everything. So thank you for taking the time and sharing space with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Deep.
Yeah. And now we're going to be screen sharing. So that link, if you click on that link and you register to show that you were here tonight with us, you'll get a free sticker. Yes, you heard it right. A free sticker. And that's a cute sticker. So you want it for your laptop, Hydro Flask, all of it.
Look
So
at all those colors. Looks so good.
Facts. Make sure to get your free sticker. tinyurl.com/AAPI-sticker. We'll give you like 2 seconds to type that in. Nice. I hope you typed that in. Clack, clack.
I'm sure there's enough time, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so. Y'all use your phones enough. But yeah, now we have Sarah Chang, our first honoree. Sarah's piece collection highlights several different elements. You can see the symbolism in the colors, the face, the images. It's an incredible piece. And while I can go into the details of what all these components mean, let's hear it from Sarah herself. So Sarah, if you want to introduce yourself really quickly.
Hello. I don't know if I'm on.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So essentially, I really wanted to create a piece, so it's kind of like a collage of many different elements. So I chose the colors yellow and red, one, because like I think they have a lot of symbolism like independently, but they are also, you know, like the colors of the Chinese flag. In the background is kind of a face, is like the identity, but then all around it are all these components. So for example, I chose to include an extra like ear and a mouth because I feel like a lot of the times, a lot of people are like characterized like in different culture groups or races by their like eyes, by their nose, like those are the main features, but never by like their lips or their ears. So I thought those would be cool elements. And then also there's like a banana. I mean, like Asian Americans, like a common stereotype. And then the cactus was just because like I'm from Texas. So growing up in Texas, like that's like my whole life. Like I never lived in Asia. So I wanted to include a cactus. And then the last thing that I really want to talk about was, I guess, the butterfly. So a lot of the time the butterfly does kind of symbolize like rebirth, starting a new life, like metamorphosis, changing. And so I guess for a lot of people, like coming to the US does like represent like starting a new life, starting over and being reborn. So yeah, I just want to include a bunch of elements and kind of put them together. That's it.
Oh, I love this piece so much. And I think like, yeah, I look at this and it's wonderful, and it comes to so many different identities and feelings that you might have. And I think another question I have is, because it looks so amazing, is how long did this piece take you? And what inspired you to make it in the first place?
It was definitely, so one of the good things is, I don't know if you can tell, but it's like canvas, but then it's also a bunch of like newspapers or like grocery ads. So like all the elements are painted on grocery ads and just like glued on top of it. So it was definitely done in like pieces and over several days.
Very cool.
Nice.
She's being humble, guys. I'm sure this girl is really on top of her artwork. It's so amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
The other question that I had is, how has your relationship with your identity shaped and changed throughout this past year, or really like generally recently?
Yeah, I was really lucky because I know a lot of people who are at MIT talk about how like their entire life growing up, like up until high school, like they really didn't see diversity in their schools, and that affected them a lot. And so coming to MIT, they like really appreciated the diversity of MIT, because I think MIT does a pretty good job. And a lot of people are able to like explore and like kind of like hang out with and meet people who are similar to them. I was pretty lucky because only in my like elementary school did I have a very non-diverse school. And so like by the time I was in like middle and high school, I was able to like have friends who like finally meet like people who are like, of course, like are similar to you. But like in elementary school, like there was me and like one other East Asian girl.
Oh wow.
And our teachers would literally mix up our names like
Oh
all
no.
the time.
Oh no.
Yeah. And our teacher, her name was Amy. So our teacher would literally gave us the permanent names of Sammy and Era, of like combining our names because he couldn't like figure it out. And so like it was bad.
The audacity.
That's so rude.
So rude.
Yeah, it was. So, and he just like called us that for the rest of the year. But so yeah, I think I've been pretty lucky, and I've grown to really appreciate having people around me who are like who I can like bond with and share with. And of course, MIT CSC has been a great community. So yeah.
Definitely. And another question that I think would be really interesting to hear from you, because you are the artist, is if you want people to leave here today, getting one piece of information from your artwork, what would you want them to leave with?
Oh gosh.
It might be a little bit loaded, but
enough to answer that question. I got nothing. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry. It's all good. Anyways, folks, her piece is beautiful. Take a look at it again. We'll have it available for people to look at after the show as well. But thank you so much for your time, Sarah. I really appreciate having you here.
Also, congratulations, because Sarah's piece is actually, I don't know if we mentioned it already, but Sarah's piece is the popular choice winner. So I don't know if you guys have been seeing on Instagram, Project AAPIdentity. We had open voting for a couple of days for people's favorite pieces, and Sarah actually won. So
yes, Sarah.
Your piece did not only speak to us and our team, but also to so many others. So thank you so much for all that you do, Sarah.
Yeah, it was cool of y'all to host this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking time. Bye, Sarah. Awesome. Yeah. And now we present Elaine Wu for her piece, Reaction Atlanta Shooting. It explores the days after the Atlanta shooting, which for those that don't know, took the lives of 6 Asian women. And the piece juxtaposes the terrifying news of the shooting with the daily experiences of MIT students, like making ramen, having to attend Zoom meetings, traveling. And despite the tragic news, students still had to somehow make it through the difficult experience of MIT. And as an Asian woman, that there was a lot that is added on to that experience. And so instead of me telling you about the piece, we'd love to welcome Elaine to tell us a little bit about herself and also walk us through the piece. Yeah, what were those initial feelings and days like after the shooting?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm Elaine, I use she series, and I'm a junior studying 6-7. And kind of before I dive into it, I just wanted to give a bit of a warning that some of these topics are heavy. So if it gets to be too much, feel free to like either mute or just get up and walk around and take care of yourselves. So as Eugene mentioned, I drew this after the Atlanta shootings that happened this past March. And the following weeks felt like kind of like a fight between resuming my daily life and really processing the event, as I feel like many students around me also felt. And a lot of the motivation behind these drawings stemmed from my frustration with the responses of this institution as an undergrad. It was kind of compounded by a first year at Yale, not long after the shootings. Her name was Rachel Shaw Rosenbaum. She took her life because Yale wasn't able to provide the support that she needed. And I think having these two events hit so close to home and also occur so close to each other really, again, compounded the feelings of anger and frustration with the Institute's response and the fact that there's really no time and space given to us to grieve. It's really up to us as students to take the time and energy to carve it out, even in the midst of all of the emotions that we're feeling. And so the aftermath of the Atlanta shooting really reinforced that idea for me. It was really like the student groups that were leading the effort to create that environment for students to process their feelings. So I just want to give a quick shout out to AAI. I think they were really a front runner in leading these efforts with like the visual and really creating the community discussions that allowed students to really talk through their feelings and find a community to feel supported in. So like on that note, I do want to mention that I'm super grateful that I was able to have witnessed and experienced all the support and solidarity through those weeks. And I hope I was able to show a little bit of that as well, of that gratitude in my drawings as well. Because knowing that someone is just there to just be and to just acknowledge you and your grief and your anger and your guilt, I think that's really powerful in itself. So answering your questions, these drawings kind of came about in the middle of class, a half class, after a professor took a solid like 15 minutes to ask us like how we're doing, how we're really doing. And after hearing about how drained and exhausted we were, she decided to cut the class half an hour short, so that we would have more time to take care of ourselves. And that really made me reach a breaking point, ironically, being shown that empathy. I hadn't been shown that for the past year, really, treating us more like human beings instead of just a figure on a screen or a figure on a paper. And so that's when I really sat down for like a few hours straight and drew these. And so what you see right now isn't really much, nothing has really changed. I really just drew what came to mind when I was like sitting down. I didn't plan any of these out. And so these drawings are pretty raw. And I think that's what made it so difficult for me to really put it out there. So I am glad that I did that. And I'm glad that I saw that people were able to resonate with it.
Yeah, honestly, like when I saw like the drawings, I was taken back to those initial days after the shooting, and like so much of this resonates with me. And actually, when you speak about solidarity, that's something I want to dive a little deeper into as well. What is it that you want people to know, especially those that may not be Asian, who may not know what it's like or what it may feel like? What is it that you want them to take away or to know?
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the drawings and pieces that were shown earlier touched a little bit on that as well. And I thought they were all super powerful. So thank you to all of the artists for that. I think what I want people to take away is that I think, especially being at MIT, where Asians are considered like an overrepresented minority, we're all kind of lumped into one big category, when in reality, we're really a very diverse group. And I think, yeah, especially the Atlanta shootings really showed a lot of people that we're a marginalized group, but there's also marginalized groups within marginalized groups. And I think it's really important that we need to elevate their voices, because they're the ones that are really being oppressed. And we really need to focus on what their needs are before we can address what the whole community needs. So yeah, I kind of touched on that in the last panel that I drew.
And thank you for sharing that, Elaine. And I think the other question that we had was, and you shared like it was a very difficult time, but how did you manage to take care of yourself during this couple of weeks? And how do you feel now?
Yeah, I think processing my feelings was really difficult for me in the beginning. I feel like I felt really rushed to be able to like provide support for the communities that I was already in. So I think drawing these was really a huge part of processing those feelings. I think it's difficult for me to be able to like talk through these things. So for example, if someone like asked me during those few weeks afterwards how I was doing, I really didn't have anything else to say besides like tired, drained, exhausted. So being able to draw through these really did bring a lot of strength to me. Also just knowing that I had a support system, having friends reach out to me, even if I didn't have the energy to really talk about it. Just knowing that they were there to be able to support me was a really great source of strength.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Definitely.
Elaine.
Thank you for your time today, and we really appreciate you sharing and being vulnerable with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Also, just to congratulate you, because you got the committee vote. So that is like the whole team behind this show. We had a vote on which artwork really spoke to us the most and which one we wanted to honor. So we really chose yours for how much it resonated with all of us. So thank you so much for all that you do. It does take a lot of energy and emotional capacity to do this type of work. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you, Elaine.
Have a nice day.
Okay, and up next we present MIT Bhangra. a group of individuals from MIT in the Boston area who love Bhangra and are dedicated to exhibiting the energy and excitement that comes with it. Since 1991, they've grown enormously while adhering to their mission of exposing the community to Bhangra traditions and Indian culture. They are also dedicated to spreading awareness about the current climate in India, including recent issues such as the Indian farmers' protests and the uncontrolled spread of COVID-19. Please contact them if you want resources of how to help. And now we give it to MIT Bhangra.
Thank you to MIT Bhangra. I literally have so much fun and energy watching Bhangra every time it performs. So super, super happy.
They're so good. Also, I just want to put out there, if anyone has ever tried Bhangra for their first time, it is such a good workout. So much cardio. So you already know these people are fit too. They can do it all.
Yeah. And now we actually have a performance by ADT and Syncopation. So a collab effort, exciting stuff. So MIT Asian Dance Team, or ADT, is a student organization established in 2009 to spread the culture of East Asian dance, from traditional Asian dance to modern Asian pop, from ethnic pieces to contemporary performances. ADT is currently the largest dance organization on MIT's campus, with over 250 members consisting of MIT students and affiliates. So that's crazy. Let's give it up for ADT and Syncopation.
飘向北方，别问我家乡，高耸古老的城墙挡不住忧伤。我飘向北方，夏日是否无恙？肩上沉重的行囊，盛满了惆怅。
有人说他在老家欠了一堆钱，需要避避风头；有人说他练就了一身武艺，却没机会展露；有人失去了自我，手足无措，四处漂流；有人为了梦想，为了三餐喂养家糊口。他住在燕郊区残破的求职公寓，拥挤的大楼里，对陌生人都来自外地。他埋头写着履历，怀抱着多少憧憬，往返在930号公路，内心盼着奇迹。不急也不想，不敢回头望的遗憾，扛下了梦想，要毅然决然去流浪，写下了自尊宏观，过去的辉煌，就算再不堪百丈，也不能投降。再见了南方，瞧我最美丽的家乡，椰子树阳光，母亲倒映着幻想，雾霾黑长光，不散都看不清前方。
我飘向北方，别问我家乡，高耸古老的城墙挡不住忧伤。我飘向北方，夏日是否无恙？肩上沉重的行囊，盛满了惆怅，也是最后寄望。回不去的远方。
空气太脏太浑浊，他说不喜欢；车太混乱太匆忙，他还不习惯。人行道一双又一双，显示了我的眼光。他经常将自己灌醉，强迫融入这大染缸，走着脚步蹒跚，而我头在摇晃。失意的人儿偶尔醉倒在那胡同楼上，拒绝抱住涮羊，手中盛着一碗热汤，用力的温暖着内心里的不安。不惊也不想，不敢回头望的遗憾，扛下了梦想，要毅然决然去流浪，写下了自尊光环， 我是朵风光，就算再不堪百丈，也不能投降。再见了南方，眺望最美丽的家乡。叶子树摇晃，梦境倒映着的幻想。雾霾陪成光，不散，躲开不进前方。
我飘向北方，别问我家乡。高耸古老的城墙，挡不住忧伤。我飘向北方，夏日是否无恙？肩上沉重的行囊，盛满了惆怅。就像那尘土飘散，随着风向。谁又能带领着我一起飞翔？我站在天堂中央，闭上眼睛，就一家人都平安。我飘向北方，别问我家乡。高耸古老的城墙，挡不住忧伤。我飘向北方，夏日是否无恙？肩上沉重的行囊，盛满了惆怅。我飘向北方，
我站在天子脚下，被踩到喘不过气。再见了那些个人潮，总会分歧。或是我真的不属于这里，早就该离去。是给我致命的一击。情愿里倒吹，这里是梦想的中心，但梦想都遥不可及。这里是圆梦的圣地，这总是扑朔迷离。多少的疑惑藏着现实，数字销声匿迹。多少的线索昏迷，剩下一世后的事情。Syncopation
去的远方
ADT 有
飘向北方。
为了生存养家糊口，他住在燕郊区残破的求职公寓，拥挤的大楼里，对陌生人都来自外地。他埋头写着履历，怀抱着多少憧憬，往返在930号公路，内心盼着奇迹。不听也不想，不敢回头望的遗憾，扛下了梦想，要毅然决然去流浪。接下了自尊魂环，过去的风光，就算再不堪百丈，也不能投降。再见了南方，瞧我最美丽的家乡。叶子树摇晃，梦境倒映着的幻想。雾霾陪成光，不散，都看不清前方。我飘向北方。
Thank you so much to ADT and Syncopation for that incredible performance. It's honestly mind-blowing to me to see the art that is created during quarantine, like how people are able to put this together, socially distanced, virtually, and bring that MIT magic.
I totally agree, Eugene. Those transitions, especially like that video editing, was phenomenal. Everything about it was, in my opinion, absolutely mind-blowing. So I really appreciate the work by those groups.
Yeah. And sadly, we are at the end of our night, which is, I can't believe how fast it like flew by. It's actually crazy to me. But hopefully through this entire show, you've kind of seen the incredible beauties and complexities that come with being Asian or Asian American. And you realize like being Asian or Asian American or Pacific Islander, that isn't a monolith. There are around 50 different Asian and Pacific Islander ethnicities out there speaking over 100 different languages, which is crazy. And there's so much you can do this APA Heritage Month. You can read up on activist Yuri Kochiyama, read books by Viet Thanh Nguyen or Sia Figio, engage with organizations like AARW or the Jihara movement, or organizations that are local to you that mean something to you, and learn about what's happening globally, like with the public health crisis in India, or service local businesses. A lot of people are struggling right now due to the pandemic and through xenophobia because of the pandemic as well. And we can do our part, and there's so much we can do, and it starts with me and you. So thank you for taking that first step today and being here with us and sharing space with us.
Yes, and just a reminder, again, tickets to a show like this are usually upwards of $10, but we have a suggested donation instead of $10 or more, and that would greatly appreciate any donation that you'd be able to give to. To reiterate, we have organizations like AARW, the Jakarta movement, and some of the various organizations by MIT SAS and MIT MITSA. And the links are on this slide right here. And remember, you can also get a t-shirt and you get a sticker for attending the show. So make sure to fill out that form so you can decorate your laptop, your water bottle, your forehead, whatever you want with the sticker, to be excited for an event like this. And we'd also just finally like to thank everyone who participated today, the amazing artwork that was shown to us, and the people who took the time to get interviewed by us as well. The show would not be the same without you. It wouldn't be anything without you, actually. So we really, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, and thank you for all of you joining us today, watching us today, spending your Friday evening with us. It is appreciated beyond comprehension. And of course, thank you for those behind the scenes that made this happen, from the Office of Multicultural Programming to the Undergraduate Association. A special thank you to Danielle Grace Stewart, Mickey Hansen, Megan Lim, some of the incredible organizers behind this beautiful production, and MIT CSC, Andy Zhu and Haran Wen in particular, and from the OMP, my Nia Lee, of course, the AAPI grad assistant. So yeah, thank you so much to all those that contributed, all those that made tonight as magical as it was. And have a nice and beautiful night, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Good night.